Hello, YouTube. Underground Moscow, or what's under the Moscow city, has always attracted fans of extreme sports and those who seek to unravel the mysteries of the past. To date, there is no complete data on the metropolitan catacombs, but that's according to open sources. But no one knows exactly how long they are, how old they are, and where they lead to. There are only a lot of pieces of information that sometimes contradict each other. The history of the giant network of Moscow dungeons is going back to ancient times, and is not only one of the darkest, but one of the most carefully guarded secrets of Russia. The underground catacombs of the city began to be built almost from its very foundation. However, the creation of significant labyrinths and tunnels is usually attributed to the 15th century, the era of the reign of Ivan the Terrible, the Russian ruler whose name should have been translated as Ivan the Fearsome. That's the correct translation. He dug up the whole of Russia, up and down, so to say. A whole network of underground passages was formed, connecting the specific principalities, a kind of state within a state, hiding in its depths a lot of mysterious stories and unknown facts. This is the mysterious Kitezhgrad, in which those who lived in underground tunnels probably rested. Moreover, many treasures of the ancestors of the modern Russians may be hidden in it. Well-known secret passages to modern diggery, the explorers of the underground secrets of Russian cities. They're using an English word, but they Russified it a little bit. Well, those well-known secret passages had appeared in the 15th to 17th centuries. Then the underground space of the city was just beginning to be actively used. Some dungeons became necropolises, others hiding places for valuables and church relics, and others became cellars. Also, alchemists and counterfeiters often arranged their laboratories and workshops underground. The Russian capital had an exciting and dangerous life under the surface. Of course, the underground passages were also oriented for the wartime. Some of them led to reservoirs so that it would be possible to collect water in secret from the enemy in case of a siege. And some served for secret sorties and for eavesdropping. Moscow dungeons were actively explored around the end of the 19th century. Such interest led to the fact that mostly adventurers began to walk through the underground passages. Those who expected to unexpectedly stumble upon hidden treasures and instantly get rich. This led to the fact that many passages were destroyed. It is a mistake to believe that finding the entrance to the dungeons will be enough to walk under the entire Moscow, the whole of Moscow, or at least under the Kremlin. Do not make that mistake. A great contribution to the study of the Moscow subsoil was made by the Soviet researcher Ignatiy Steletsky. However, his efforts were not appreciated by the communist officials. Everything that he managed to open was concreted or preserved according to the principle of lest something happens. In addition, Steletsky warned that the buildings of the Lenin Library, the Bolshoi and the Malay theaters may soon collapse due to the voids located under them. And from my videos, you already found out a lot about Moscow voids, the sea under Moscow, and a lot of other curious things about the Russian capital. The metropolitan authorities currently recognize that there is no map of underground passages. The available drawings, whatever is available, according to the open sources, are based on the research of Steletsky and the diggery, but no one vouches for their authenticity. If you believe such drawings, then you can go down to the secret passage on the Mesnitska and Lubyanka go unnoticed to the house on the embankment. There's also a multi-kilometer chain of dungeons in Tsaritsino under Bruce's house on Mira Avenue. But still, walking around the underground Moscow is a dangerous adventure. No one may come to the rescue in time. And by the way, this was what happened in the month of August in the year 2023. 8 people perished when they went on a tour of underground Moscow, and the heavy rain, a deluge, came about. Plus, there are government interests. Just be careful. If you visit Moscow and you're offered to go on a tour, just use common sense. As to who Bruce was, I'll tell you in the future. I think you will like it, but it may take more than one video. The head and the founder of the Moscow underground diggers is Vadim Mikhailov. His organization was named Digger Spas, and after many years of conflicts with the authorities in the year 2000, acquired the status of structural unit of the Ministry of Emergency Situations. Vadim became a digger for a reason. This was preceded by one interesting story from his childhood. When he was 12 years old, his friends and him from the neighboring courtyard liked to climb in the old basement of an abandoned house located nearby, just like as we did in Kiev in my youth. They studied it gradually and one day discovered a staircase leading deep down. Going down, they got into a long dark corridor along the walls of which there were high shelves. There were small vessels on them in which strange creatures were pickled, marinated, preserved. As it turned out later, a part of not fully exported warehouses of the Institute of Oceanology was located in the basement. So they walked as if spellbound through the Kunstkamera, or chamber of strange creatures, looking at the freaks in the jars and then amazed and at the same time inspired by what they saw. They swore to each other by the light of newspaper torches burning in their hands that they would create such an expedition that would explore the underground slums of civilization. Vadim fulfilled his oath by gathering like-minded people around him and initiating underground research. By then, the Mikhailovsky diggers had already managed to open 12 levels and 24 sub-levels in the city dungeon. And this is in the year 2023, I guess. Mikhailov's team explores the networks of ancient fortress dungeons of the Kremlin and Kitai Gorod, Chinatown in Russia. The underground passages of Borovitsky Hill, under the Pashkov's house, for those who know, Chertolya, the Cathedral of Christ the Savior, the monasteries of Moscow, which would be Novodevichy, Simonov, Donskoy, Chudov, and others, extensive complexes of ancient household cellars of Solyanka and Zamoskvorechye. However, the ancient underground passages under the Moskva River, which are mentioned in historical documents, have not yet been discovered. It is known, for example, that in the 17th century, at the behest of His Royal Majesty Tsar Alexei Mikhailovich, craftsman Arancheev repeatedly attempted to build a passage under the river. The first ended in failure, but then the peasant craftsman was suddenly granted nobility, an unprecedented honor at that time. Not a word was mentioned about the tunnel under the river at that time. The employees of the Federal Protective Service of Russia openly state that only Mikhailov group has such a map, and the map that the special services had lost with the collapse of the Soviet Union. Research by the GRU, that's the intelligence, military intelligence, the KGB, the secret police, remained only in the form of separate security fields. Mikhailov's team have brought together the data of geologists, diggers, and other research. They have more or less managed to create such a map, but it's secret. They even signed a non-disclosure agreement, although in general, the knowledge is not complete. And this is where we are. So look at my other videos about Moscow's secrets. and add this one to them. And I'll tell you more stories about this fascinating city, very unusual one that carries a lot of history and a lot of secrets. And if you ever visit Moscow, you can refer to my research. And always use common sense. If you like my research, by all means, please help me. You can do so through the links you'll find in the description to this video. Please tell others about my research, and please like my videos. Thank you for your attention to my work.